Hello everyone, it's Carrie here from the Female Entrepreneur Association and welcome to another weekly dose of inspiration to build a successful business. So today I am joined by the amazing Charlotte Watts, who is the author of the brilliant new book, The De-Stress Effect. And we are going to be talking all about how we as entrepreneurs, as business owners, can de-stress, which I'm very excited about because this is something I need to learn more about. So Charlotte, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Hello.
Firstly, congratulations on your book. I have received this really recently, so I have to admit, I've not gone through all of it yet, but I've gone through and been picking out different bits, and I'm just really excited to dive into this because I am someone who definitely I've had my ups and downs with stress, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners do because there's this overwhelming pressure on us to keep building our businesses, to keep moving forward and to work really hard, and sometimes that just obviously results in a lot of stress. For me, it's kind of comes out in weird ways, like really bad skin, like breakouts. I have this one hand that goes weird, like I don't even know what it is. I don't know, something gross happens to it, and then I get really bad heart palpitations. It got so bad once I had to go to a specialist, and he said I needed to be put on beta blockers, and at that point I was like, no way. So I went to see someone that did reflexology and healing and had 3 sessions, and they went away. Like, they come back still every now and again, but they went away, and I thought, this clearly proves that it's not something wrong with my body, it's more like a stress thing. So I started to realise, and I just think so many other entrepreneurs are kind of not maybe experiencing the same thing as I experienced, but are experiencing stress and just feel like this tangled mess of like overwhelm and this heaviness of trying to like build a business. And obviously we all feel it in different areas, but I think I'm so excited to talk to you about this and get some good strategies. And flicking through your book, there's obviously so many different great sections, but I love this one in chapter 3, enjoy each moment, something I'm still practicing. But then also in this chapter you talk about mindful daily living and mindfulness, which I think is a huge thing. So I thought maybe we could just dive more into this topic of mindfulness, because I think it could really help all of us. So I'll just hand over to you because obviously you're the expert on stress. So why is it that we do get so stressed out, and what can we do in terms of especially focusing on mindfulness to help ourselves?
Well, one of the key things about stress to remember here is it's not a judgment, it's not a bad thing, but it's a provocation to reaction. So it's what we actually do, the energy that we create in order to get us to do things. And people who are entrepreneurs have got that kind of drive in them already. In order to do that, in order to kind of step out and take those kind of risks and be that self-motivated, we kind of have the personalities that are going to lead us potentially into building up stress and keeping going, and often not giving ourselves enough space to come down the other side. So one of the definitions, if you like, of bad stress is when we don't allow ourselves enough time to recover, enough time to come down the other side. And if we feel that we're fully responsible for everything that happens to us and our business, then there is that tendency to just keep going and really live head up, so that we're not really listening to our body. And like you're saying, when your body's expressing that it can't cope anymore, we all have our little weaknesses. The way it comes out for me is it also skin, very kind of inflammatory response. Some people feel it in the gut, some people it tends to mood issues, or sleep gets upset. The not listening to those signs and just ploughing on regardless, head upwards, is what kind of gets us to the point where we can't cope anymore. So mindfulness is what can really draw us back in the opposite direction, to really let us drop down back into our bodies and not just living in this kind of very future driven way, which we often do when we're running our own businesses, which is, where am I going? What have I got to do? It's not about here and now. It's about what's out there. But taking a little time to just drop back into the here and now, and to let go of all of those voices, all of those comments, all that kind of analysis and evaluation that we do that keeps us up in the head, and actually drop into our bodies. And I have to say, although kind of the traditional way of meditation most people think is sitting up, I think particularly, most of us, or many of us, are in a position where we are in our homes maybe, or even in an office with the amenable folks, we might be able to lie on the floor, and actually lying down, letting our whole body completely come to rest, is a really good idea to feel that support from gravity. You know, that kind of like, oh, you
Yeah.
get a feeling when you finally get on the ground, even if it's kind of 30 seconds, putting your hands on your belly and feeling your breath in your belly so that you're letting each moment move away from your head and just feeling right deep into your body where you are right now. So it's an incredible reset.
That's interesting, because I was actually just about to ask you, when you were talking about obviously mindfulness and taking a step back and getting into your body, I was thinking, how on earth do you get into your body? I was like, just going through my head. So it's really interesting. So that's I guess one key way to just take that step back, lie down flat for, like you said, even 30 seconds or.
Yeah. And if you need to sit doing it, just placing a hand on your belly just pulls you back down to the enteric nervous system. So that's that place you really feel kind of more of a gut instinct from, which is very true. It's not just a kind of Eastern esoteric thing, but it's very, science really proves that our gut feelings are correct. And what that means is that actually taking that space away and really connecting with our bodies means that the decisions we make are less likely to stress us out and be more productive, because they're the decisions that are really kind of true to what we feel and what we feel needs to happen. And those are the ones that actually kind of lead us into business decisions, like more left brain decisions that we feel happy about afterwards.
Yeah. So let's say that someone is really having a tough day, they're stressed out, they've been stressed out in that horrible place that all of us don't like to be in. What are there some, I know obviously that was one of them, but are there steps that people could take, or what would the steps that people could take would be to help them to release that stress and to feel more relaxed and calm, so that they're in a better frame of mind to move forward in the day and they feel good, they feel better about themselves? What could they do in that moment or in that day to turn things around?
One of the things that tends to be pretty problematic with the way we work is that we're quite locked into computers, to technology. Which means we're basically sedentary, and when we go into the fight or flight response, so that's our only response to stress, it's a full body response. It expects us to be running away from that proverbial tiger or standing and fighting something. When we're having that, but we're locked into our computer in this kind of posture like this, jamming the backs of our necks and creating all that kind of pressure up here. One of the best things to do is allow those stress hormones to move through, which is to get moving, to walk away for even 10 seconds. And a lot of health problems we have come from not moving. You can get kind of devices that will tell you to move every hour, or set an alarm, or do something that just says don't sit there, but walk up and down the stairs, or walk to a toilet that's further away from your usual one if you're in a building, but move. It's about move stuff through. It stops us that real constricted feeling,
So to get a move away would be like the first step. I guess second thing, moving on from that, maybe the tip before you said about getting connected, getting into your body by either sitting up and placing your hands on your stomach, or lying down flat somewhere if you can.
Or if you can walk, just go for a quick walk. You can ground in your feet and get into your body that way.
Oh, okay, I see. So are there any other things that people could be doing in that moment that would help them to really release that stress?
Watching our breath. So taking a deep inhalation and really sighing out actually resets our breath, because when we get into the stress place, our breath starts to be kind of really shallow and up into the top. And we tend to hold we kind of like quite shallow, really caught feeling. So it really helps to inhale deeply and really sigh out. And that, even if you make an ah sound, so if you're on your own, you can really kind of go for it. But what it does is it opens up the jaw, and it opens up the back of the throat. You can't make an ah sound without opening the jaw, because the jaw tends to clamp down when we get into a stress response. And we do that to really increase circulation around the head and the brain. It's one of the things we do to kind of focus, is clench our jaws like that. So just moving that, and even just moving your face around.
How interesting.
Gurn at your desk.
People think we've got mad.
Just possible.
I like that though. I've never actually tried that myself. Because sometimes I find that when I'm really stressed out, it's really hard to pull back and to like, you get so caught up in the moment that you forget to even like pull yourself out of it and to realize that you actually have got the choice to relax yourself if you so choose. But so often we don't, do we? And it's just trying to, I guess maybe getting into habits.
Absolutely, and we get quite scared of stopping as well because it takes so much energy to keep going at that level that we're going that we fear if we step back that we'll kind of A, lose where we were, or B, lose the momentum. And we're in such an up place that it feels very alien. The idea of coming down is very alien. But one of the things that we don't tend to do in our lives is let our brains rest. Which is what we do in things like meditation. And you'll find your brain doing it all the time. It's a consciousness that people are looking to go into in meditation. It's something your brain does all the time just to reset. So those sleep cycles that we go in the night, you kind of lighter sleep and coming down to deeper sleep, your brain is still going into cycles like that during the day. So you find yourself sometimes just kind of staring out the window.
Yeah.
Your brain having a well-needed rest, but we get scared of that, so we tend to go, oh my goodness, or pull it back together, or have a coffee, or do something. Whereas actually, if your brain's having a rest, you should just really let it, and trust that it will come back up again, and it will come back with maybe more clarity, a different perspective. That's how memories are formed as well, just letting the brain rest and everything kind of getting filed in the right places. So it's very productive to just, when you feel your brain go into a lull, to just kind of like let it.
I like that advice. It's the best piece of advice I've ever heard. Allow yourself to just stare out the window and just allow it to happen. I think that's I love what you just said as well about trusting. I think this is so hugely important in so many different areas, but I like how you've just linked it to trusting that, especially with like stress and like allowing yourself to relax. I think it's a huge thing. I never even thought about it in that perspective before, but I guess it's so true that we do need to just trust that we don't need to keep going at 100 miles an hour all the time, and that if we stop, it will be okay, and just trust that we'll be okay, and that it's the right thing to do.
Well, our culture has this idea that we book a holiday in 3 months' time, and somehow that will make up for just going at it like banging up against a brick wall. But actually, we need to get this idea of having holidays every day during the day. To take it, particularly if you work at home, it's really difficult because sometimes you can kind of just shuffle from the bedroom to the office or in the front room and not move. But actually, the idea of walking out of the house, going around the block to go to work, really helps to clear your head, and it makes your whole body move. And the getting stress locked in your body becomes less likely. Also, listening to your body means that when you have those lulls, it's a really good time to eat, because your body loves receiving food when it's not wasting energy on stuff in the brain and being preoccupied with other things. It's a really nice kind of time to just go, okay.
That's really interesting. I know you talk about food as well in here, don't you, in your book?
Yeah, it's one of the ways I got into writing the book. Really was I'm a nutritionist. Have been a nutritionist for about 15 years, and got into this because of my own tendencies. And I would really say that it's this kind of brain that allows us to be successful at what we do. Is that same kind of brain that can tend to make us quite responsive to things that's stressful. We have quite heightened reactions, if you like. And it was always an interest of mine at how do we eat in ways that helps us cope with that. Because when we get stressed or when we're really busy, we tend to not look after ourselves as well.
Yeah.
And it's a massive focus of mine to help people to find routes and habits that really work for them during those times of stress. So we even kind of up it a bit when we're stressed, and we go, okay, this is a time I need to be looking after myself more. Not like, oh, it's going out the window, I'll look after myself next week.
Yeah.
But actually, I need to be helping my energy. I need to be helping my blood sugar. I need to be allowing myself to calm and not just relying on coffee.
I feel like, from my experience, that whenever I've taken control and decided to make time to go to the gym, do meditations, eat properly, it makes me feel so much more in control, which goes hand in hand with reducing my stress levels, because I feel in control. And it's when I let the day run me and I'm frantic and I'm on it all the time and don't take a step back to think about other things, that's when I feel so unbelievably stressed out and overwhelmed. So it's really interesting hearing you say that, and how food and everything relates to it all.
Oh yeah, and you can feel that the more I'm laying a foundation for the day is really crucial. And we have it's so difficult for us now with things like smartphones and kind of stuff coming in immediately to just kind of react to it. So I like what you said there about letting the day run you. So it's that we have a choice to either be quite reactive to what's coming in and just kind of be at the whim of it, or start the day and say, okay, I have time where it's for me. I don't answer anything. I don't look at the phone. I don't need to. I have a lovely breakfast. I sit there. I let myself have time. And that time is really designated, which is really important. If you work from home, it's, I understand boundary issues and just keeping going. But I think, the more you can start your day with that scene that you said, that scenario where you are in control, and that the spaces you make between what you do are as important, if not more important, than the work you do in between. It's of much higher quality, isn't it, when you do?
Yeah, I completely agree. So obviously you've got lots and lots of tips in this book. What would be your number one tip for releasing stress?
Make space whenever you can. Make little bits of space and step back as often as possible, because one of the definitions of stress is just feeling like you are locked in, you're constricted, like you've got nowhere to go. And that is the definition of stress. If you're in fight or flight, you either want to run away or stand and fight. So the more that you can step away and just feel that things are more spacious, the better. And that's when then you fit in all the things that will allow you to look after yourself, like food, like movement, like mindfulness.
I love that. Thank you so much. I think I'm ready to go and have a little bit of a relax myself, I think, now after this conversation. But thank you so much. Obviously, I'm going to be reading the rest of your book, which so far I've found to be very insightful and amazing. So for everyone else, I will leave all the details of where you can get your copy of this book over on the blog. So make sure you check it out. It's called The De-Stress Effect. But thank you so much, Charlotte. I really appreciate that. And I'd also love to hear what you think about this. Do you ever feel like you're just so overwhelmed and feel really stressed out by running your business and building a business? If so, head over to the blog and leave a comment, because I'd love to hear what you have to say. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you aren't a subscriber, then make sure you subscribe. You can do so over on the blog. And I will see you next week for another dose of inspiration.